Deirdre, Peck, and I'm gonna sing. I'm 5 years old, and I'm gonna sing a song. Here are Grandmother's spectacles. Here is Grandmother's cap. This is how Grandmother takes her hands and folds them into her lap. The farmer had a dog. Bingo was his name. B-I-N-G-O, 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 and Bingo was his name. Oh, my name's Bradley. Oh, I forgot the whole thing. Once a squirrel was up in the tree and he lived there, and a man came to chop it down, and then he ran out to another tree and was cricket, and it started cracking one day, so he ran to another tree and lived there forever. Again, I'm 5 years old, and I'm gonna sing another song. Jingle bell, all the way. Jingle bell, jingle all the way.
Oh, what?
Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bell, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Lies over the ocean, my bonnie lies over the sea. Oh, who'll go into the ocean and bring back my bonnie to me, to me, to me, to me. Oh, bring back, oh, bring back, oh, bring back my bonnie to me, to me. It's God again. And once a birdie lived in the house, and it was really raining. Then there was a storm, and he got his hammer and nails and went out and fixed the roof. My letter to one. I wrote my letter to my love on my way.
Hello, this is Nicole is going to sing a song now. Nicole is 3 years old. I made a mistake. She's 2 years old. Sing. Oh, yeah.
I wrote my letter to my love on my way. I lost my letter.
Little doggy.
And little doggy picked her up and put her on the pocket.
Sing again. I wrote a letter.
I wrote my letter to my lad on my way. I lost it.
Little doggy.
The little doggy picked her up and put her on a pocket. N-T-O and Bingo was his name. Mo.
Again.
B-I-N-G-O and Bingo was his name. Mo. We call little tour. How you, what you are. Why can't I be in the sky?
Twinkle.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star. How you, what you are.
Hello, my name is Mark Bradley. I am 8 years old, and I am going to tell a story about a parakeet. Okay. This is a story about a parakeet. Once there was this parakeet who lived in a cage. It was night time, and he flew out of his cage and he wanted to live in a tree. So he found a tree and he lived in it. And a hunter, a man, he came down and started to chop the tree down. The tree was halfway down when the parakeet flew out and got his hammer and nails and put it back up. And this is the end.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to tell you a story about a little Indian boy. Once upon a time, there was a little Indian boy who lived in a forest with his mother and his father and his little brother. His name was Blue Sky. He had long black hair, and he was a very handsome boy. And on his 5th birthday, his parents gave him some very fine presents. When he opened up the boxes, he found a beautiful belt, all made of pretty beads, and a little red pair of shoes made of leather. He put on the belt and the new shoes, and he was going for a walk in the forest, when a big black bear came upon him and said, "Hello, little Blue Sky, where are you going?" "I am going for a walk with my new belt and my new shoes." The bear looked at the new shoes and the belt and said, "They are very nice. Would you let me wear the belt for a little while?" Blue Sky didn't want to, so he said no. So the bear said, "I am going to eat you up if you don't let me wear the belt." Little Blue Sky didn't know what to do, so he ran away, and the bear was very mad, and Little Blue Sky didn't go into that part of the forest anymore. Hello again. I thought maybe you might like to hear this story about this neighbor of mine. Her name is Donna. Well, this girl was so crazy about playing the guitar that for Christmas one day her mother gave her a guitar. All day long she was playing and singing. Her mother told her, "Why don't you go and play outside?" And so she went outside and she started to play the guitar. And when she looked up, she saw that everybody was dancing to her fine music. She was very happy that they liked her music so well. Everyone was having a good time. They made a regular party out of it. And they were also eating and drinking and dancing, all except an old man who lived nearby, who wanted to sleep. And he couldn't sleep with all the singing and dancing and guitar playing going on. So when nobody was looking, this old man crept up real quiet and took the guitar and went way up into the mountains and hid it in a cave. When Donna got through eating her cake and ice cream and all, she went back to finish playing the guitar, and it was gone. "My guitar is gone, my guitar is gone," she cried. Everyone came and started looking for it. Nobody knew what could have happened to it. One little handsome boy, who was a very good dancer, he found some footprints, so he followed them up to the mountains, and everyone followed after him. Soon they came upon the cave, and it was very dark in the cave, but they had a flashlight with them. So in they went, and there was the guitar laying on top of a big treasure trunk. They opened the trunk, and it was filled with money and jewelry, and everybody was so happy that they all got a share of the treasure. Donna and the little handsome boy finally grew up and got married one day. Hello, Johnny is going to tell you a story now. Here he is.
Hi, my name is Johnny Colino. I'm going to tell you a story about the 3 bears. One was the papa bear, one was the mama bear, one was the baby bear. And then the mother bear cooked some porridge. Then the mama bear said, "Ooh, this is too hot." And the papa bear said, "This is too hot too." And the little baby bear said, "Ooh, this is too hot too." So they went out to the forest in the woods to walk for a little while. So then came Goldilocks right in the house. She was so hungry she wanted to eat. So she saw a house cooked it, and it had porridge. So she ate the papas And she said, "This is too hot, Mama." She said, "This is too hot, too." And Goldilocks, she said, "Ooh, that's mine." And she ate it all up. So she wanted to sit on the chair. "Ooh, this is too funny. Ooh, this is too funny, too. Ooh, that's my size." And she broke it all up. Then she went to the beds and she wanted go on the big one, daddy one. She said, "Ooh, this is too slippery." And she said to mommy's, "Ooh, this is too freezing." And she went in the baby's. "Ooh, that's my size." So she fell to sleep all the night. That's the end.
My name is Johnny Louise Wyatt, and I'm 6 years old, and I am going to sing a song. Tra-la-la, 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 Castaveras, Castaveras, tra-la-la-la, tra-la-la, tra-la-la, tra-la-la-la. Hey! Three bears. Once upon a time there was 3 bears. Papa bear, mother bear, baby bear. And they ate some porridge. Papa bear said, "This is too hot." Mama bear said, "This is too hot." Baby bear said, with a teensy weensy voice, "This is too hot." She went to the next room. She tried Papa Bear's chair. That was too hot. She tried Mama Bear's. That was too high. And Baby Bear's was this right. And she broke it all up. Then she went upstairs to the 3 beds of the bears. She went to Papa Bear's first. She said, Goldilocks said, that was too...
You're not telling a good story. You're taking too long. You're going to ruin the whole thing. Hurry up.
Well, I don't know what to say now.
Then tell another one. Don't you know another one?
This is the only one I know. Then Goldilocks said that was too long. Then Goldilocks went to Mother Bear's and she said that was too cold. Then she went to Baby Bear's. That was just right. That's the end.
Morning. It's about the 3 bears. Once in the woods there was this little cabin, and in this cabin lived 3 bears. The mama bear, the daddy bear, and the baby bear. And Mama Bear said, "Oh, I'm going to make some porridge." So she made some porridge and put it in the 3 bowls and put it on the table. And then they said, "Well, it's a little bit warm. Let's take a walk." So they took a walk out in the forest. And while they were walking, there was a beautiful little girl with long, blonde, curly hair. And her name was Goldilocks. And she was also taking a walk in the forest, picking flowers. So she saw this little cabin, and she said, "Gee, I'd like to go in that little cabin and see who lives there." So she knocked on the door, but nobody answered. So she opened the door, and she went in. And she saw these 3 bowls of porridge on the table, and she says, "Boy, I'm hungry. I would like to have some porridge." So she goes over to the big bowl, and she says, "Oh, I can't eat this. This is too hot." So she went to the mama's bowl, and she says, "I don't want to eat this one either because this one is too cold." So she saw the little one, and she said, "Oh, this is a good one. I think I'll eat this." And she ate it all up. And it was so good. So she said, "Well, what I think I'll do is I think I'll go sit in the rocking chair for a little while." So she got into Daddy's rocking chair, and she said, "Oh, I don't like this chair. It's too big." She got into Mama's rocking chair, and she says, "I don't like this rocking chair either because it's too hard." Then she saw a little one, and oh, it was just right. So she's rocking and singing and having a good time when all of a sudden the leg broke and down she fell. She broke the chair. So she said, "Oh, well, that's all right." So she went looking around, see what else she could find. She went upstairs, and here it was 3 beds. She said, "Oh, I think I'll have a nap." So she climbs in one of the beds, and she says, "Oh, I can't stay in this bed because this bed is too high." So she went to the next bed, and she said, "I can't stay in this bed because this bed is too low." And then she saw the little bed. Oh, and it was so cute. So she climbed in that bed. It was so comfortable she fell asleep. Well, in the meantime, Mama Bear, Daddy Bear, and Baby Bear decided to come home. And they saw the door was open. They said, "Oh, somebody must have come in because the door is open." They went in. And the Daddy Bear looked on the table and he says, "Somebody was eating my porridge." Mama Bear said, "Somebody's been eating my porridge." And then the Baby Bear, he looked and he says, "Somebody ate my porridge and they ate it all up." And Daddy Bear says, "Oh, that's terrible." And then he went over to sit in his chair. He said, "Somebody was sitting in my chair." Mama Bear said, "Somebody's been sitting in my chair too. They knocked the pillow off." And the Baby Bear says, "Oh my goodness, look what happened. Somebody sat in my chair and they broke it all up." So they said, "Oh well, let's go to bed. It's getting late and I'm tired." So they went upstairs and Daddy Bear said, "Somebody's been sleeping in my bed." Mama Bear said, "Oh, somebody's been sleeping in my bed." And the baby looked in his bed and he said, "Somebody's been sleeping in my bed and here she is." And there was this beautiful little girl with long golden curls named Goldilocks. And she heard them and she woke up and she got so scared that she jumped up out of bed and she ran out and she ran outside and she ran down the forest and never saw her again. That's a wonderful good story. Thank you. Now, Josh, now that you've been a real good boy, Grandma's going to tell you another story. This one's going to be about a friend of yours. You really know who I'm talking about after you hear him. His name is Incredible Hulk. Well, once upon a time, there was this little town where all the people lived, and they were very happy. Some people had a garden, and some had some horses, and they took care of them. And they all had fun, and they were always happy people. And then one day, a big monster came from out of the woods. And he was a mean old stinker. And he would scare everybody. And when they saw him coming, why, they would all run. They'd run and hide. And the monster was real mean. So one day, all the people got together and they said, "We're going to do something. We're going to have to get rid of that monster because he's hurting everybody. And we just don't want him around anymore. And we don't know what to do." So then they called the police, and the police came, and the police says, "Well, I know one man that can really help." And he says his name is Mr. Hulk. And he's so strong that he's incredible how strong he is. So one day when the monster was being real nasty and breaking up all the people's yards and digging up their flowers and just being mean as he could be, and hitting even the dogs and the cats, and he would throw rocks at them, well, they got a hold of Mr. Hulk, and they said, "Mr. Hulk, I want you to come and do us a big favor. I want you to come and wait, and when nobody's looking, you grab this big Hulk, and you grab this big monster, and see what you can do with him." So, okay, so nighttime came, and the Incredible Hulk went over and hid behind a tree. Pretty soon comes this big old monster with a stick. He was going to hit everybody with the stick. And the Incredible Hulk went, "Urgh!" shaking his arms and trembling, and he got a hold of that monster, and he gave him such a spanking, and he picked him up and he threw him way up in the sky, and while he was up so high, an airplane was coming by, and he hit the monster and knocked him all to pieces, and then the little town lived happily ever after. They never no more trouble with that lousy monster. That was a bad story, but it turned out to be pretty good in the end. Well, Josh, your grandma's going to tell you another story. You'll like this one because this is real cute. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful cat, and she had all different colors in her. She had orange and brown and black and white, so they called her Calico Cat. Really nice. And then one day, she had 3 little baby kittens, and they were so cute and playful. All they wanted to do was play and run and jump and play with the yarn and have fun. And Mama Cat was real proud of her babies. So one time it was Christmas coming. So Santa Claus came down and he brought the 3 little kittens each a pair of mittens. A red pair, a blue pair, and a yellow pair. And he says, little kittens, you have been so good, I brought you some mittens. And they were so happy, they put the mittens on and they went out to play in the snow. Where they lived, it used to snow. It don't snow every place, but it snowed in this town. So they were playing in the snow, they made a snowman, they made snowballs, and they really had a lot of fun. And then they were having so much fun that their hands got wet from the snow, so they took their mittens off and they put them down. Pretty soon it started to snow again, and the snow covered up the mittens. So they said, after a while, when they got tired of playing, where are my mittens? I don't know. Can't find them. Well, that's okay. Let's go home. So they went home and Mother said, where are your mittens, little kittens? They says, we have lost our mittens. And Mother said, oh, you naughty kittens, you've lost your mittens. For that you shall have no pie. Mother had made a beautiful big apricot pie. Oh, it was so good. It smelled so good. And they started to cry. We want some pie, we want some pie. You cannot have no pie until you find your mittens. Santa Claus brought you those mittens and you didn't take care of them, and that isn't a very nice way to take care of your clothes. So you better go out and find them if you want some pie. Otherwise, you're not going to get any pie and you're going to go to bed. So they said, well, all right. So they went outside and they started digging around, and pretty soon one little red mitten started to show where they were digging, and he pulled them out and he said, oh my goodness, look what I found. I found a mitten. So they all started digging. Pretty soon they found the mittens, the 3 pairs of mittens, and each one grabbed their mittens and put them on, and they ran home. Mother, Mother, look, we have found our mittens. Mother said, you are good little kittens, and for that you shall have some pie. So she cut the pie and she put it in the little dishes and gave them all a little fork, and they were sitting at the table eating their pie, and they were so happy that Santa Claus was real pleased that they found their mittens, because if they didn't find them, he would have been terribly disappointed, and maybe next year when Christmas came, he wouldn't buy them anything, because people that don't take care of their clothes, they shouldn't have any nice things. But anyhow, they found their mittens, and they were happy, and Mother was happy too. So that they all enjoyed the pie. That's all. Well, Josh, you've been such a good boy that Grandma's going to tell you another story. This one is going to be about a little darling girl, and they call her Little Red Riding Hood. And the reason they call her Little Red Riding Hood is because she has a cape that's red and a real red bonnet to match, and it looks so nice. So one day Little Red Riding Hood said to her mother, Mother, I am going to visit Grandma, who lives in the forest, and when I go, I'm going to bring her something nice. I have a big basket of different kinds of fruit and candy and cookies, and on the way, I'll pick her a bouquet of flowers, because I know Grandma likes flowers. So she got off on her way, and when she was going through the woods, somebody says, hello? And she looked around. She didn't see nobody. Pretty soon she hears, hello? She looked, and there was Old Wolf. Old Wolf come up, and he said, hello, Little Red Riding Hood, where are you going? And Red Riding Hood said, I'm going to go see my grandma. And he said, what have you got in the basket? She said, oh, I've got something nice in my basket. I've got some cookies and some cake and some candy and all kinds of nice things and fruit. And Grandma loves that. So Old Wolf said, okay, I'll see you later. Goodbye. And he took off. So Little Red Riding Hood went along her way, picking flowers, pink ones and blue ones and yellow ones. And so she had a nice big bouquet of flowers. And she gets over to the road where she was going to walk to her grandma. In the meantime, the old stinking wolf, you know what he did? Well, he went over Grandma's house and he knocked on the door. And Grandma thought it was Little Red Riding Hood, so she said, come on in. So he goes in and he grabs Grandma and he puts her in a closet and he locks the door. And he says, you stay in there.
So he took Grandma's robe and her bathrobe, and her bonnet, and he put it on, and he climbed in the bed. And pretty soon, put the covers up over him, and pretty soon Little Red Riding Hood was on her way down, and she gets over and she knocks on the door, and old Wolf says, come in, because the door is open. So Red Riding Hood opens the door, and she comes in. So she goes over to the bed, Wolf says. I'm laying in bed because I'm tired. And she says, oh, Grandma, that's too bad. I brought you some nice things. So then she looked at the grandmother and she says, Grandma, gee, what big eyes you have. And the wolf says, oh, that's better for me to see you with. And the Red Riding Hood looked again and she says, oh, Grandma, what big ears you have. And he said, well, that's better for me to hear you with. And she kept on, She was kind of puzzled because she didn't think that looked very much like Grandma. So she says, Grandma, what big teeth you have. And the wolf jumped up and he said, that's better to eat you with. So he jumped out of bed and he made a dash for Goldilocks, for Little Red Riding Hood. And she got so scared that she ran out the door real fast. Well, over by the tree, there were some woodcutters cutting down the tree, and she started saying, oh, come and help me, come and help me. So then the woodcutters came and they got a hold of that wolf and they got a hold of him and they tied him up and they took some sticks and they started to hit him and they said, oh, Wolf, you get out of here and don't ever come back around here again. Because if you do, we're going to shoot you because, wolves are bad. They're no good. And so then the woodcutters went in the house and they heard pounding on the door. Bang, bang, let me out, let me out. It was Grandma. She was locked in the closet. They opened the door and here comes Grandma. And she was so happy that she didn't get hurt, and she was so happy to see that Red Riding Hood had brought her so many nice things that they all sat down and ate everything. They ate the candy and the fruit and everything, put the flowers in a vase. So then they had a real good time. They lived happily ever after. So that's a little story about Little Red Riding Hood. Well, Josh, it's very nice out. We're sitting out here on the swing, and you're listening to all these stories. Now I'm going to tell you a story about the 3 little pigs. You know about them because they're very popular. Well, there were 3 little pigs and there were 3 little brothers. So one day they decided that they would build themselves a nice house. They were all living together, but they didn't get along too good. So they decided that they would each get their own house. So the first little pig, he went ahead and he was a lazy pig, so he just went and picked up some straw and he made himself a house out of straw. And he didn't do a very good job, but anyhow, it was good enough for him. So then the second little pig, he was a little more ambitious. He went out and gathered some wood. And he made a nice house out of wood. And he fixed it all quiet, and he fixed it all nice so that it would be a quiet house. So he had this nice little wooden house. So that was pretty good. He planted a little garden, had a little fence and everything. But the third pig, he was a real ambitious pig. He went out and gathered bricks. He made a great, big, beautiful house with bricks. He had a bathroom and a living room and a fireplace and everything in it. And they were having a nice time, all of them. And then one day, out of the forest came the old bad wolf. And he was so hungry, he said, gee, I wished I had a pig to eat because I'm hungry. I think I'll go see if I can catch a pig. So he went over to the first house and he knocked on the door. And the pig looked out the window. And the wolf said, let me in. And the little pig said, no, not by the hair on my chinny chin chin, I won't let you in. Well, if you don't let me in, said the wolf, I'm going to huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in. He says, no, you can't do that. But he said, all right, watch. And he went, phoo, phoo, phoo. He blew so hard that the old house made out of straw fell all to pieces. But the little pig ran and ran and he ran over to his brother's house, the one that had the house made out of wood. Pretty soon the pig was mad because he couldn't catch that pig, so he went over to the brother's house and he knocked on the door and he said, pig, pig, let me in. And the pig looked out the window and he said, no, not by the hair on my chinny chin chin, you're not coming in. He said, I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in. No, you can't do that. He said, because I have a strong house. He said, phew, phew, phew. And he blew so hard that all the boards broke and the whole house fell in. But the two pigs ran. They ran so fast they ran over to the third brother's house, who had this great big beautiful house made out of bricks. And the brother opened the door quick and they all ran in the house. Here comes the wolf. Oh, he was so mad. He was so mad he just didn't know what to do with himself. So he went over and he says to the other pig, he knocked on the door and he said, "Hey, pig, you let me in." And they said, "No, no, not by the hair on my chinny chin chin, you can't come in. You better let me in because I am going to huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in and then I'm going to eat all three of you pigs." "Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. I got a good strong house." So the old pig went, "Phew, phew, phew." But nothing happened. The house wouldn't move. Phew, phew, phew. He kept blowing and huffing and puffing and he was so tired he didn't know what to do. So he said, "Well, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to climb up on top of the roof and I'm going to climb down the chimney and then I will get the pigs. That's what I'll do." So he got a ladder and he climbed up on the roof. And in the meantime, the three pigs made a great big pot of boiling water and they put it on the fireplace. And pretty soon here comes old Mr. Wolf climbing down the chimney and splash! Where did he fall? Right in the pot of hot boiling water. And he got himself all burned up. And he just didn't know what to do. And he jumped up and he ran out the house. He says, "I'm never going to come by you people's house anymore because you people are terrible. Look what you did to me. You tried to burn me with the hot water." So they never had any more trouble with him. So the three pigs had to move in together because the wooden house was all ruined. The straw house was all ruined. But the brick house stood strong. It was very nice. So that's the end of the pig story. Hello, Josh. Grandma's going to tell you a real nice story. I think you'll like this one. This one is about the little boy. He was 4 years old, and he used to go to preschool. His name was Jack. He was a very nice little boy, and he was very kind and polite to everybody. He never got sassy. He picked up all his toys, and he did everything Mommy told him to do. So one day he was going to have a birthday. And Mommy said, "We can have a nice birthday, and we will invite all your friends. Now you give me a list of who you want to invite." So he thought, and he had a paper and a pencil. He told his Mommy, "Now you write down these names." So first he said, "I want to invite the three bears, the mama, the papa, and the baby. And then I want to invite the three kittens, because they're awful nice kittens. They lost their mittens once, but they found them again. And I want to invite this beautiful little girl named Goldilocks and her friend, who is named Little Red Riding Hood. And they all want to come to my party, and I'm going to invite a real strong man. His name is Incredible Hulk. And when they come to my party, we're going to have a real surprise. First of all, Mommy's going to decorate the whole house. We're going to have balloons and banners and ribbons and flags, and oh, it'll be so pretty and everything will be nice." So Mommy said, "Okay, as long as you're a real good boy and do what I tell you to do and go to bed when it's time for you to go to bed and not give me a bad time saying I don't want to and I'm not going to, then we will play whatever you want and we'll have a good party." So pretty soon come time for the party. The first person that rang the doorbell was a little mouse. Now, they didn't invite the little mouse. So they said, "Little mouse, what do you come to my party for? We didn't invite you." He said, "I come because I want to run up the clock." So they said, "Okay, you can run up the clock." And then pretty soon the doorbell rang again, and here was a cow. And they said, "Cow, we didn't invite you to the party. How come you come to my party?" He said, "Well, I want to jump over the moon, and that'll make the little dog laugh when my dish runs away with the spoon." And they thought, well, that's a pretty good joke. So anyhow, they had them come in. So pretty soon everybody was at the party, and they were having fun. They had music, and they had guitars playing, and some of them even got up and sang. And Little Red Riding Hood sang a little song. And Goldilocks, she was playing with the baby bear. She thought he was a darling. And they were all having fun. Pretty soon comes knocking on the door. Knock, knock, knock. "Who's there?" "It's me. You didn't invite me to your party, and I want to come in." They said, "Who could that be?" "Well, I don't know. Let's open the door and find out." And there was old Mother Witch. And she was mad. She had a long pointy nose and a long pointed hat and a big black cape and a stick in her hand. She said, why didn't you invite me to your party? And they said, well, this is only party for nice people and you're mean. And we don't want you at our party. She said, well, I'm going to come in anyhow. And if you don't let me in, I'm going to break all the windows in your house. So they said, well, all right, come on in. Well, she went over first thing she did. She drank all the soda water like a big hog. And they said, gee, she drank all the soda water. How terrible. So they said, well, let's don't say nothing to her. Let's wait. She goes over to the cake, and I wish you could have seen what she did. She took that great big piece of cake, and she cut it up, and she ate every bit of the cake. Then she went over to the ice cream, and she says, now this is my favorite kind of ice cream. All different colors, chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, lemon. Oh, I'm going to eat it all up. And she ate every bit of it all up. Well, gee, everybody at the party was getting awful mad. Baby Bear said to Mommy Bear, I wanted some ice cream and cake too, and now the old witch ate it all up. So what am I going to do? And Mama Bear says, well, let's wait and see what happens. And then Daddy Bear said to the old witch, you know, you got an awful nerve coming in here and taking over and eating all our stuff, and you are not even invited. You better not stay. I think you better leave. And then the three little kittens says, we wanted to have some fun too, and we wanted to play, and you popped all our balloons. Oh, what a terrible witch you are. We don't like you. And Goldilocks was there too, and she says, yes, you didn't do right. She says, you and the old wolf are two bad people, and we didn't want you to come to our party. So then they said, what shall we do? What shall we do? And they were all sitting around in a big circle worrying about what they should do and how are you going to get rid of this old witch that came to the party not even being invited. So pretty soon they said, I know what we'll do. We'll call Incredible Hulk. Incredible Hulk, would you come and do us a big favor? Oh, sure, I'll do you a favor because you're such a nice friend. What do you want me to do? We want you to get rid of the old witch. So he says, all right. So he goes over to the witch and he goes, "Arr!" shaking and trembling. And the witch looked at him and she says, get out of here, old Hulk. He says, listen. And she took her stick and she started to hit the Hulk with it. And with that, he got so mad. He picked up the old witch and he tossed her way up in the air. And she went right up through the chimney. And she flew. It's a good thing she had her broom with her because she went flying away on her broom. And she never would come back to that house anymore. Well, when they were all gone and the witch was gone and everybody was there, we said, now we can have some fun. Let's play some games. So they had some jigsaw puzzles, and they were working on them. And then a little while later, they had something else. They were working on it. And somebody brought the color crayons. And oh, what pretty pictures they made. They had so much fun that they all had a real good time. And pretty soon we hear, hickory-dickory-dock, I'm the mouse that ran up the clock. When the clock struck one, then I run down, hickory-dickory-dock. And they laughed. They thought that was real cute. And he was a real cute mouse. So they gave him a piece of cheese. They told him, you're a good mouse. So you can have some cheese. And then the cow, the cow that wasn't invited, he said, I'm a good cow and I give milk. And I'm going to give all kinds of milk. And all you kids can have some milk because the old witch drank all the soda water up. But you can all have some milk. Some of you want chocolate milk. That's okay too. All Mommy has to do is add some chocolate to it. So anyhow, he had a real nice birthday party, and that turned out fine. Everybody was happy, and he got loads and loads of presents. He got so many presents, he didn't know where to put them all. Well, that's all for that story now. Bye-bye. Go.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, N, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now I know my ABCs. Next time wants to sing with the straw.
Sing another one.
It's funny.
Sing another one.
What?
Hurry up. The scene's going.
Okay. I'm bringing home a baby bumblebee. Hope my mommy be surprised is to see, 'cause I'm bringing home a baby bumblebee. Ouch! It stung me.
Good. Now, what is tell a story
About what?
about the 3 bears.
I don't know how it goes.
Well, then tell another one. What do you know? Hurry up, machine's going.
I'm gonna sing another
All
song.
right, go ahead, sing another one.
I'm gonna sing.
Hurry up.
I'm gonna sing ABCs again.
All right.
A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P Q R S T U V W X Y and Z. Now I know my ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me?
One time there was a man, and his name was Mr. T. And he was a very, very strong man. And not only that, but he wore jewelry. You should see the jewelry he wore. Bracelets and rings and earrings. And he had his hair cut in an awful funny way, sort of stuck up in the air in a minute. But anyhow, he was a very popular man, and everybody just loved him. He was a black man, but he was strong. He had muscles on him that wouldn't end. And he lifted barbells and did all kinds of exercises, and that's what made him so strong. Well, one day, Mr. T was going to go to the show, and all the kids run around here, but they said, "Oh, Mr. T, would you please give me your autograph? Because I'd love to have your autograph and your picture if you have one." So he says, all right, he gave them all a picture. So anyhow, they all go into the show and watch the movie, which was pretty good. And then all of a sudden, in came an old man. And he was sick, and he didn't have no money, and he was hungry. And Mr. T says, "Who are you?" And he said, "Oh, I'm just an old man. I'm very poor. I have nothing. Could you help me?" Mr. T said, "Yes, I can help you. Why don't you come with me to my house?" So the man says, "Oh, that would be good. I would really appreciate that." So they went out of the show. They got in Mr. T's beautiful new car, and the old man and Mr. T, they drove over to Mr. T's house. Well, when they got there, they rang the bell. The butler opened the door because he was very rich. He had a lot of servants and everything, big swimming pool, everything in the house. So he says to the maid, "Give this poor man something to eat because he's very hungry. And then take him upstairs, give him some nice clothes to wear, and then give him some money." And then all of a sudden, a great big puff of smoke came, and the old man turned into a beautiful girl. And he said, "Do you know what happened, Mr. T?" He said, "One day I was in the woods and I met an old witch. And she turned me into an old broken down man, broke with no money and hungry and everything. And I would never get to be a pretty lady again until somebody took pity on me and brought me home and made me into a new lady." And she was also a black woman, and he was a black man. And they fell in love, and they got married, and they lived happily ever after. And then, one day, guess what? They had 3 little children, 2 little boys and a girl. And they all were darling. And so one day it was time for the little children to start preschool. So they all went to school, and the teacher says, "I want you to learn how to say your ABC." Well, the little boys, they didn't know how to say them very good. They would say them all wrong. They said B, C, F, G, T, R. Teacher says, "No, that's not the way. You got to say A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now learn good, because if you don't learn, you're never going to make anything out of yourself. And when you grow up, you have to learn." So they all studied and studied. The little girl, she was a smart one, boy. She knew her ABCs right away. She could say them just like the teacher. Very good. So anyhow, they had a real good time at the school, and so they all went home after school, and Mr. T was there, and he was so happy with his little sons and his daughter. That's about all for Mr. T, but he was a wonderful man, and people thought he was a real hero. That's it. farmyard, and all of a sudden, something fell on her head. Bonk! Oh my goodness, said Henny Penny. The sky is falling. I must go tell the king at once. She ran out of the farmhouse as fast as she could go. She was running so fast that she didn't even see her friend Mickey Mouse. Mickey was carrying a bucket of water. Crash! Up went the bucket, down went Mickey. The water spilled all over him, and the bucket landed on his head.
Hey, it made a puddle.
It made a big puddle, yeah. Quick, get up. There's no time to waste, said Henny Penny. The sky is falling down, and we must go and tell the king. Up the hill they ran, huffing and puffing, and then they saw Donald Duck chopping logs with his axe. So, just then a bird flew by, and the axe slipped, and one of the logs hit Donald right on the foot. Ooh, squawked Donald. He grabbed his foot and started hopping up and down. Aren't you going to help me? Donald asked. We have no time to waste, said Henny Penny. The sky is falling down, and we must go and tell the king. Henny Penny quickly wrapped a bandage around Donald's foot, and then she and Mickey set off again. Donald followed along behind, muttering and limping as he tried to keep up with his friends. As they crossed the bridge, they saw Goofy. He was sitting on a log, dangling his fishing line into the stream. But Goofy wasn't really fishing. He was fast asleep. And down below, the fish were swimming all around the fishing line. Suddenly, a big fish pulled on Goofy's line. Goofy woke up with a start and tumbled head over heels into the water. Oh my goodness, said Henny Penny. Just look at that. Poor Goofy, he was up to his neck in the water. Glub, glub, he said. Has anybody seen that fish? Mickey grabbed Goofy by the collar and pulled him out of the water. I think you lost your fish. Come now, we haven't a minute to waste, said Henny Penny. The sky is falling down, and we are on our way to tell the king. The sky is falling down? Oh my, said Goofy, I'd better come with you. So they all set off again. At the top of the hill they came to a field, and there they found the three little pigs dancing around with their fiddle and their flute. Stop that dancing right away, said Henny Penny. Don't you know that the sky is falling down, and we are on our way to tell the king? Suddenly a voice boomed out. What's going on over there? It was a big bad wolf. The little group of friends huddled together because they were afraid of the wolf. Mr. Wolf, the sky is falling down, said Henny Penny very softly. We are on our way to tell the king. Well, now, said the wolf, I just happen to know a shortcut to the castle. Why not follow me? So Henny Penny and her friends followed the wolf out of the fields and down the hill towards the stream. But the third little pig, the smart one, he stayed behind because he didn't trust that wolf. Instead, the third little pig sneaked through the tall grass to take a look at the wolf's house. Outside in the yard, he had a big kettle was bubbling over a hot fire. Oh, that's the wolf's stew pot, said the pig. If my friends aren't careful, he will put them right into the stew. By the time the wolf had led everyone to the edge of the stream, he said, I am going to take you across on my raft. So he leaped around in one big jump. Come on, Miss Henny Penny, said the wolf with a toothy smile. Just take a hold of my hand. Oh my, said Henny Penny, that's a big jump. I'm not sure that I can do it. Just then the third little pig came running up, and he whispered something into the other two little pigs' ears. Then one of the pigs said something to Goofy, and Goofy said to Donald, and Donald said to Mickey, and Mickey whispered to Henny Penny. Oh my, said Henny Penny, and she whispered something to Mickey, and Mickey smiled. You big bad wolf, shouted Henny Penny. This isn't the shortcut at all. You are going to take us home to your house and cook us. Me? Take you home to my house and cook you? Whatever for? He did not see Mickey untying the rope that held the raft. Suddenly Henny Penny shouted, 1, 2, 3, let's push. Everybody pushed the raft with a stick, and the wolf was so surprised that he fell over backward. Help me, he shouted. But nobody would help the wolf. The stream carried the raft swiftly down the waterfall, and down it crashed. The wolf went over too, head first, shouting, Come on, said Mickey, pulling Henny Penny along behind him. Let's go home. I don't think the sky is going to fall down after all. All the friends ran home as fast as they could go. And as for the king, nobody ever did tell him that the sky was falling because it was only an acorn that had fallen off of the tree that some bird was there. So that's about all the story of that one. I hope you enjoyed it. This is a little story about Mickey Mouse and the Best Neighbor contest. One midsummer day, Mickey Mouse called all his friends to a special meeting. Minnie Mouse, Goofy, Mickey's nephews, Morty and Freddie were there, along with Donald Duck and his nephews. Friends, Mickey began, it's a long hot summer, and I think we're all in the slump. Just like losing a ball team. We have to do something to stir things up. Minnie Mouse said, you're right, Mickey, but what, have you got any ideas? Yes, let's have a contest. Everybody brightened. What kind of a contest? Donald Duck asked. A best neighbor contest. Each one of us must think of something to do to help everybody enjoy the summer. I'll be the judge, and the best number will win a silver loving cup. They all started shouting excitedly. I'll run a pet show, said Minnie, recalling the different kind of pets that her friend owned. We'll open a lemonade stand. Right, free ice-cold lemonade for everybody. I will get my big balloon ready, said Donald, and I'll give everybody a free ride. So then Donald Duck's nephews offered their new playground equipment for the children. They can use our seesaw, our swing, and our slide. That's a great idea. So what's your idea for our best contest? Oh gosh, I don't know, said Goofy. I'll try to think of something. With a faraway look in his eyes, he turned and he walked off towards his house. The Best Neighbor contest soon opened, and it ran for 1 week. Everybody in town came and they...
That has a hole in it.
Yeah. Everybody came back again and again to enjoy the fun. Mickey made his rounds every day, keeping an eye on everything to see who could win. Minnie's pet show, Goofy was saying hello to a turtle, a skunk, and a hamster when Mickey came along. Wow, Mickey. Minnie sure has a swell idea for the contest. I wished I would have thought of doing something for everyone. And Morty and Freddie's lemonade stand was real busy. Everybody was coming to drink the ice-cold lemonades, and the kids are being real nice to everybody. Pretty soon Donald took everybody for a ride in the balloon, and he watched. The ride is terrific, but I couldn't think of a single thing to do, said Goofy. At the playground, the neighborhood children were shouting with glee as they seesawed and swung and standing on the ladder at the bottom of the slide to catch the little children. I couldn't think of anything better to do for the children. On Friday night, the contest ended, and on Saturday, Mickey invited all his friends to a hot dog party on his front lawn. I'm going to award a prize for the Best Neighbor contest, but all of you have been so great I haven't made up my mind who the winner is going to be. Minnie, your pet show was very good. And how did you manage with so many different pets when no one ran away or got lost? Well, as she said, that's because Goofy looked after them. He was wonderful. Mickey turned to Morty and Freddie. Boys, I'm proud of all the hard work that you did. It must have been an awful hard job to squeeze all those lemons. Oh, no, he said. Goofy came out and helped us. Then Mickey spoke to Donald Duck. You were pretty clever to fill that balloon with air and keep it filled. Oh, don't give me the credit, he says. Goofy came over every day and helped pump it up with air. Then Mickey spoke to Donald's nephew, and he said, the way your playground was perfect. Everybody had so much fun and nobody got hurt. Well, it was Goofy. They kept an eye on the children. That's why nobody got hurt. He took care of everybody. Mickey thought for a minute, and he said, friends, finally, this is really heartwarming. I think you all agree that the one of you who said that he couldn't think of an idea has turned out to be the best neighbor of all. I mean Goofy, the one who has helped everyone the most. So Goofy wins a silver loving cup. Everybody cheered, hooray, Goofy is our neighbor. But then when they went to look for the winner, he wasn't there. They searched and finally found him working at the barbecue grill, roasting the hot dogs for the whole crowd. How about that, Goofy, said Mickey. Even though the contest is over, he's still being everybody's best neighbor. Hot dogs are coming up, said Goofy with a big neighborly smile. So they all had a wonderful time with their contest. That's it. Well, Josh wants another story. He seems to think that it's fun, so I'll tell one more story. But this is a story he wants to tell about everybody. So first I'll tell the story about Josh. Josh is 4 years old. He goes to preschool. He's a pretty good boy most of the time. Sometimes he gets kind of fresh. But he's a pretty good boy today, but he's got a bad cold. He couldn't go to school. He had to stay home with Grandma. But he was real good. So we did a lot of things. We listened to the stories and laid on the bed and watched TV and all. It was fun. And then we'll tell about Mommy. Mommy had to get up early this morning and take her shower and get ready for work. And she has to go to work all day long and type letters and answer the telephone, do lots of things. But that's good because that's a fine job for her. And then I got to tell you about Grandpa. Grandpa got up this morning and he went out in the yard and he started doing a lot of yard work. And he raked up and he's going to put some kind of fertilizer in the ground so he can plant all his vegetables, and we'll have a lot of nice fresh vegetables pretty soon. Then I'll tell you about me. I didn't do much this morning. I got my garage looking a mess, but I'm going to clean it all up. I've been going through a lot of the stuff and throwing out a lot of stuff that I can't use. And that's about all we did here today. Now I'll tell you about Grandma Shirley. Grandma Shirley sold her beautiful house. Now she's going to move and she's going to find another beautiful house. And then I'm going to tell you about Uncle Tony. Uncle Tony goes to college, but he has a week off, so he came home to visit with the family. And Uncle John, he's working every day. He's doing real good. He's got a nice car. He bought a nice new car from Carol. And then I got to tell you another one about Uncle Frank, Grandpa Frank. He went to work this morning, and he's working hard, too. He's building a house or doing some kind of carpenter work, I guess. And he keeps busy. And today's a cold, windy day. And we're sitting home waiting. We're going to have company for dinner tonight, so Grandma's going to cook. Now she's got to fix the table. Now I can tell you more about Josh. Josh has a room full of toys. I bet you he's got more toys than any little boy I know. And he's good at it. Every time if we go garage sale, sometimes he buys some beautiful toys. And he got a lot of nice books, and he reads all his books every day, looks at the pictures. And pretty soon he's going to go to kindergarten. Now, kindergarten is different than preschool. He goes to preschool now. But when he goes to kindergarten, he's got to go every morning at 9 o'clock, and he goes into the class, and there's be a lot of children his age. And they all sit around, and the teacher talks to them and teaches them different things. They draw pictures, they do finger painting, and they make puzzles. And it's really wonderful, and he's going to have a real good time at school. But he can't talk back, and he can't get sassy with the teacher because the teacher won't keep him if he does. He has to be real good when he goes to school. And so we're looking forward to that. He's going to be going in September. He'll be almost 5 years old then. And that's about all. So I'll see you later, alligator. Now I have to tell you this story about Josh had this dream. There was this big monster in the bathroom. No, he wasn't in the bathroom.
No,
Where was he? He was outside the vase. Once there was this little girl, and her name was Dorothy, and she lived with her aunt and her uncle, and they lived in a little town in Kansas, and they lived very happy there. And one day they had a little dog named Toto, and she lived with Uncle Henry and Aunt Emily. So they lived in this little farm like. where the wind would blow and do a lot of damage and break the houses and everything. So they had a trap door that led down into the cellar. And then they would go down there when the bad winds would come and they would get saved. So one day, what happened, a great big wind came, so heavy, and Aunt Emily said, quick, let's all run down to the cellar real fast. So they put everything down in the cellar, the dogs and the cat, they had the cows and the chickens, and they put them all down in the cellar, and then Uncle Henry and Aunt Em climbed down the cellar, and Dorothy was going to go down the cellar when her dog Toto ran away, and she went to grab the dog, and by that time the wind came and lifted the house up in the air, and it blew it through the air, way up in the sky, and it was twirling around in the sky, and the poor girl didn't know what was happening. And pretty soon the house went down, plop. It landed in the middle of a beautiful lawn, way far away, many miles. And Dorothy looked up, and she was still holding her little dog, Toto. And she says, my goodness, I wonder what happened. So she walks over to the little door, and she opens the door, and she gets out. And here's all kinds of little people. And they're all bowing and clapping their hands and saying how wonderful Dorothy is. And Dorothy didn't know anything about what was going on. Well, I tell you what happened. It seems there was an old witch that lived in this town. And she was real mean. And she was awfully mean to these poor people. And she would do all kinds of mean things. But one day when this big wind came, the wind fell and knocked her down. And the house fell on top of her. And it killed her. And so she was laying down there, and she was dead, and everybody was happy because they knew they were rid of the old witch now. So they wanted to do something nice for Dorothy. So then they went over to this old witch, and they took her shoes off. She had a beautiful pair of shoes, all made out of silver. And they said to Dorothy, we are going to give you these shoes that belong to the old witch, and you can have them. And Dorothy says, well, thank you very much, but what I want to do is I want to go back to Kansas to my Uncle Henry and my Aunt Emily. How am I going to get there? Well, the people all started to look at one another because they didn't know anything about Kansas. They never were any place. They didn't know what she was talking about. And they says, well, if you really want to go back to Kansas, I know a man that can help you find your way back. You'll have to go to his place, and he is called the Wizard, and he is the smartest man in the world, and the Wizard will tell you how to get there. So she says, okay. So she went home, and she changed her dress, and she was all dressed up and washed herself nicely, and she looked very neat and clean, because she wanted to go on her journey to see if she could find the Wizard. But her shoes looked so terrible that she thought, I better change my shoes. But what am I going to put on? Oh, I'll wear those shoes, the silver shoes that the late people gave me that belonged to the old witch. She put them on. Oh, they felt so good. And she walked with them, and they were very good. She thought they were almost made for her. So then she kept walking down this road, and all the people kept bowing to her and saying, thank you so much for killing the old witch. Well, she didn't really kill the old witch. The windstorm blew the house down on top of her. But that was okay. She kept on her merry way, and she was going to go see if she could find the man who could help her get back to Kansas. So while she was going, she passed a place where they were having a party. The four of them were playing the guitar, and so they were singing and dancing. They had a table all full of fruit and pies and cakes and jellos and all kinds of good stuff to eat. So they said, come and eat with us, come and stay here and have some fun, and you can spend the night with us before you make your long journey. She says, all right. So she goes ahead and she has a good time, and pretty soon she's pretty tired. So one of the little men said, come on, sleep here tonight. I'll give you a nice bedroom. She said, okay. So in the morning, she got up, and she got all dressed up, and she got her little dog, and off they went again. And she walked, and she walked, and she walked. And pretty soon she was so tired, she thought, well, I'd better just sit down and have me a rest because I have to find out just exactly where I'm going. So she sat down in the middle of the cornfield, and there was an old scarecrow with a big pole holding him up. And she's looking at him. He had his eyes painted big colors and everything. It was kind of cute anyhow. And all of a sudden the scarecrow winked at her. He says, hello. And she says, did you talk to me? He said, oh, yes. She said, well, gee, I didn't know scarecrows could talk. Because he said, in Kansas City, the scarecrows don't talk. Well, she says, well, how are you? Scarecrow says, well, I'm not very well. He says, I'm awfully tired of staying here trying to scare the crows away. I got this big pole holding me up. Why don't you take the pole away from me? And I will get down, and then that way I'll feel better. So she did. And all of a sudden he says, oh, I feel like a new man. Because she couldn't get over the scarecrow talking to her. So the scarecrow said, who are you? And she said, my name is Dorothy, and I am going to Emerald City to ask the great Oz to send me back to Kansas. Well, where is Emerald City, she said, and who is Oz? Don't you know? No, I don't know anything, 'cause I am only stuffed with straw, and I don't have any brains. Oh, well, I'm sorry for you, but if I go to Emerald City, would the Oz give me some brains? Well, I don't know, but you can come with me if you like. And if he don't give you any brains, you won't be any worse off than you are now. Well, he says, all right. Oh, I don't mind my legs and my arms being stuffed with straw, so that way I can't get hurt. If anybody steps on my feet, it won't hurt me. So, but I don't want people to call me a fool and say my head is stuffed with straw. I want them to have some good brains like you do. So Dorothy said, all right, I understand. You can come with me, and I will ask Oz to do everything that he can for you. So they walked down the road, and she helped him over the fence. You know, Toto, the little dog, he did not like the scarecrow at first. He smelled him, and he snuffed him, and he didn't know what kind of animal, what kind of man that was made out of straw. So Dorothy says, don't mind Toto, he won't bite you. And he says he just wants to see what you smell like, 'cause he didn't know whether you're a stuffed man or maybe you have some mice inside of you or what. So he said, well, I'll tell you what, we'll keep on going, and pretty soon you'll make friends with him. So he said, all right. So anyhow, they kept going down this road, and finally they came to this beautiful place called Oz. They went in, and there was the old wizard sitting up on a golden chair. And he said, what are you doing here, little girl? And she said, well, I came to see if you can send me back to Kansas, because that's where I belong. And this is my friend, Mr. Scarecrow. He's only made out of straw, and he would like to have some brains. Well, the old wizard looked at him, and he said, okay. So he tapped him on the head with his golden wand, and pretty soon the Scarecrow got lots of brains, and he became real smart. And then he says to Dorothy, now you can go back to Kansas City because I know that your mommy and daddy are waiting for you. So she got into an airplane and off she went back to Kansas. And oh, she had the best time in her life. And then when she got home, she lived happily ever after. This is a story about the three bears. Once upon a time, out in the country, in the forest, there was a little house, real pretty, with all pretty flowers outside. It looked real nice. It was all painted pretty yellow. And in this house lived three bears, the mama bear, the papa bear, and the baby bear. And they were real nice. So one day, Mama Bear said, I'm going to make some porridge for breakfast. So she went out over to the stove, and she made a nice porridge, and she poured it in 3 little bowls. And the daddy said, oh, this porridge is too hot. Let's go for a little walk. And when we come back, maybe the porridge will be cold enough to eat. Mama Bear said, oh, that's a good idea. And Baby Bear said, oh, I like that idea too. So off they went to the forest for a little walk. Well, pretty soon, while they were walking, down the road came a beautiful little girl. She had blue eyes and blonde curly hair, and she was so darling, and her name was Goldilocks. So she went walking down the road, picking flowers and having fun all by herself. And what does she do? She sees this little darling house, and she said, "Oh, what a pretty house. I think I'll go and see who lives there." She went up and she knocked on the door, but nobody answered. So she said, "Well, I'll open the door and go in." So she went inside, and there she looked on the table and was 3 bowls of porridge. Oh, she said, "I'm so
Come with me, my love, and live for life, and life will live for you forevermore.